psychology. At this time, will we please give a warm welcome to Dr. Larry Simpson.
Not to talk very long. I've had a ball here. I've had a ball coming back here. I've had a ball seeing people, feeling the energy. And so, Ashley, I first want to thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate that. And to Dr. Crosby and to Ms. Shirley Crosby, it's always an honor and a pleasure to be in the company. It's an honor to be here with you as well. Then I would be remiss, as Ed Crosby was not remiss in not acknowledging my lovely wife, Ann. Ann, please wave. We've been together a long time, and I tell her every day almost I need supervision. She knows that. My needing supervision days harken back to my being president of Black United Students, and I'll get to that in just a moment. As people were up here, I was tempted to play off on each thing that people were saying. I mean, it brought back so many memories. And so over 40 years, there's some things about bus that have not changed. And over these 40 years, there are some things that have changed. One good thing, from the few bus presidents we've heard from, I'm very happy that the tradition of bus presidents being able to speak and command attention and an audience is still in good form. So to my former presidents, thank you for carrying on in a very good tradition. I must admit that this invitation caught me a bit off guard. I didn't want to admit that it had been 40 years since I was president of Black United Students. 40 years seems like such a long time, but in reality, it is not such a very long time. And as you get older, particularly the current students, you will indeed see that. Let's talk about two important dates that span 40 years. On April 4, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Let's fast forward 40 years. November 4, 2008, Barack Obama is elected president of the United States. It seems like a blink of an eye, and in many ways, it is. So I wanted to talk with you, and I'm going to change some things. The title of my presentation was From Black Metaphor to Barack Reality. It was as president of BUS in 1968 that I learned about leadership, that I learned how people really are and how they act and will react in crises, that I learned what motivated people. I learned how organizations functioned and how people functioned in those organizations. And I learned how they work. And I think it was as a result of my Black United Students experience that I decided to major in psychology. It was as BUS president that I learned to be alone and to appreciate and embrace being alone. I learned about politics, negotiation, compromise, and what it means to keep your word, and what it means to have people really believe in you. So even though it's been 40 years, I had to come back to be black from the beginning. As you heard in my brief bio, that I've had the pleasure of serving as president of 2 campuses of Cuyahoga Community College, and I currently serve as senior vice president and provost at Berklee College of Music in Boston, which is the world's largest music school. The struggle always continues. That's something I've learned over these past 40 years, and as being the BUS president, that the struggle continues. Let me just give you one Berklee example. I've been there nearly 4 years now. I said it's the largest music school in the world, and we have wonderful, wonderful faculty, and we have wonderful students. This was an institution founded on jazz. So a year ago, a group of us under the leadership of our president, Roger Brown, said we need to change the mission of this college. So now if you go on the website, the mission of Berklee will say that it was founded on jazz and the African cultural diaspora. I think that is significant for an institution to do that. On October 28th of this year, just a week or so ago, I had an opportunity to meet President Lefton for the first time. He was visiting Boston. He's doing this tour going around the country to connect with alums, and so I went to talk with him. So it seemed like a good time because he was born in Brookline, which is in Boston, in the neighborhood that Ann and I live in Boston. So we said, good sign, come back to Kent State. Now what I'm not going to do tonight is to regale you with stories about back in the day, how much fun we had because it was the 1960s and revolution and free love and sex, drugs, and all of that was in the air. It was all of that, yes, but not all of that. And frankly, I believe that the work that's in front of Black United students today is more difficult than the work we had in 1968. When I came to Kent State University in 1967, there were 300 black students. There was no Institute for African American Affairs. There was no Department of Pan-African Studies. There was no Kawumba House. There was no Oscar Ritchie Hall. There were not very many black faculty and staff. Our charge was pretty easy, I think. Make it happen. And we did. And we raised a lot of hell on this campus. Carry on. To have a vision for what it is you want to do. Because we now have built the physical structures. We have buildings, we have departments, we have programs, we have faculties. How are we now going to engage the university? What next should this university be doing? Not only for black students, but for all of its students. That is the lesson of Barack Obama. That is the reality that he is faced with. He is not the president of the black United States. He is the president of the United States. And I think BUS is now challenged. How do we change? How do we make Kent State University be the best institution it can be and live up to its principles that when I was with President Lefton on October 28th, he said that this university aspired to. I know you're up to it because we have a 40-year history together. I've had fun with you. I know the time is late, so I want you to go forth, stay strong, and maybe you can get your march in 2009. How's that? Thank you all very much. I really appreciate it.